Would you rather have 3 Phantom Maze or Thanos Dragons, or would you rather have this? This is $300 in the moment. This is about what you'll be paying for TCG player fees after you pick up your copies of Thanos Dragon. So I want to talk about how this is one of the most expensive formats that we've actually gotten the chance to experience in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And man, oh man, it is expensive. Let's dig on into this discussion, shall we? We were going to film something totally different, but I just got the knacking for something. So, let's talk about Thanos Dragon and how this is the most expensive format that we've actually got the chance to play in today. So, you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! You're like, oh, I'm going to pick up Salad Man. It's going to be a great deck, it'll be budget. And then you realize that you need some expensive cards. Thanos is... this card is so dumb. It warrants its current price tag on a level that is beyond imaginable. When you have a card that literally says, when your opponent summons a link monster, draw 2, like, and then put 1 back, and it's not even a put back 1 from the 2 you draw. Alright, like, Thanos fixes my problem I have, which is, oh, well, I want to play Salad, but, I'm gonna draw my brick, which is, hello, Sanctuary, how are you? Or, like, you hard draw one of the other bad cards in your deck. Thanos lets you put those back. Now, Thanos is also a big Aqua Dolphin target, and it's a sad day because I do feel bad because Mr. Thanos Dragon, he does so much. And, like, if you hold this off to the point where you are able to draw more than 2, oh my god, you rake in the value. I don't know. The card literally is Maxi. The TCG is exploiting this much as we do with Maxi, or would be had we had the card, but it is definitely amazing seeing such a power card. I don't think we've had a card in so long that has been this crazy in price for the competitive market. So yeah, I feel bad for you at this current point in time if you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because this card is such a staple outside of Sky Striker. Now, that's not all. We also have Infinite Impermanence. Now, Imperm has, once again, like, we've kind of seen this card fluctuate a little bit in price. And this was the first $100 card that we had. And I think a lot of people kind of saw this and they were like, oh, like, it'll eventually drop. They announced the reprint, everything's going great. And then all of a sudden, it just doesn't budge. Now we have 2. That's right, we have 2 cards that are $100 a piece that are dictating the current game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, granted, Imperm is a very interesting card in its design because it is also a Effect Veiler that cannot be called by the Graved. And what you're paying the extra for is, okay, cool, so I want to set this card going into my opponent's turn. My opponent sets something up in the column. I'm able to blink that spell and trap card column for the entire turn. I did a whole discussion on comparing these cards to gacha prices. Like, you can have the Effect Veiler, which does pretty much the same thing as this, but what you're actually paying this absurd amount of money for is this extra layer of, okay, it has a few extra words printed on it. It allows me to further dodge around these little clauses that are going on in the game. Now, for $100 that you don't really need 3 of it, but a lot of decks, when they play this, it was a 3 of. All right, like, I mean, you could try getting away with 2. It wasn't as good per se. So I do think it's worth the $100 until a reprint comes and kind of knocks down the price a little bit. But once again, expensive ass format, guys. Come on, and these are just main deck cards. All right, like, I feel bad because all the Salaman Great players are like, oh, budget, we'll be fine. And then you look at your alternatives of things that you can play. Now, it's not all. In the extra deck, we also have Borel Sword. I need some water for this one. When a Link monster first touched $100, everybody was kind of like, oh, why? Why is this card so much money? you're paying for what the card does. Now, I mean, standard level of cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, Borel Dragon was great, but it had so many reprints. Even look at Borel. All right, a Link 4 that has the ability to steal the opponent's monsters, you know, it's great. But when you start getting into, you know, the real gold here, then you have to realize that Borel Dragon includes the words OTK written on the card, dual attacks. Okay, why do you have to make a... It seems like anytime we infuse the card text of Ryoku or Ryoku onto a card, things kind of, I guess, go out of control, per se. And it really, I don't know, it kind of, it's wild. Like, you're, once again, back to that gotcha discussion. You're paying for that OTK potential, that straight burn out the opponent. Oh shit, I'm so sorry. Like, you just got OTK because I was able to summon said Link 4 on the field. This is what Yu-Gi-Oh's gotten to. If you want to pick up all 3 copies of these, you're looking at about $700, all right? And that's not even including said main deck cards. That's not even including anything else that you're going to need. Just for some draw power, some extra negates, and an OTK card that none of these have reprints at the moment. This is crazy to me, all right? Like, it's mind and heart-wrecking knowing that this is what the current player base has to go through. Now, next up, in the expensive department, is actually Pot of Extravaganza. Now, we've seen this card. I think that it's not of high rarity at the moment. I think that this is probably the next most expensive to have access to. So, if you're playing any sort of rogue deck, sorry, once again, rogue players, like, you guys, you kind of got the bitter end of the stick here. If you're a rogue player and you were really looking forward to this card, I have bad news for you. Turning your entire extra deck into a source of draw power was a fantastic concept. It, I think, would have explored and added another layer into the competitive play. Oh, absolutely it would have, had players been able to have access to this. But kind of what we started to see here was actually quite the opposite. It became a luxury to be able to do this because, once again, the theme of today's video, look, this right here is what is going on. So if you want to play Subterra, you've already got to play the over-gouging prices for Hidden Cities, which are like $25 a piece right now, which, okay, sure, that's fine, that's affordable. And then you like, oh, I got to spend $210 to be able to get my copies of Extravaganza. That's so unfair to the standard budget player that can only afford like $200. Like, okay, that's the cost of 3 cards in your deck. Were you gonna, you know, you might be able to play a deck of locals with an entire ghetto extra deck and piece together the extra cards barely. Sure, that's fine, but come on, guys. Really? Really now? This is the secondary market at its absolute finest for price gouging. Now, the only other thing right now that's kind of a real, I guess, abnormality is the Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. So, this card is sitting at like $55 at the moment. Now, this is an abnormality to the current card market because, one, well, it comes from a set that nobody really bought, and if people were buying it, it was raised through the constant buyouts. Now, you kind of followed this card when it was 20 to 30, and people started to kind of see it was being bought out over time, which, okay, I'll admit, I saw it, I didn't think much about it, you know. It's a hot Red Dragon Archfiend card. It's got anime support going for it. People love that kind of stuff. And then as soon as you've got a very good card that is from the anime, that is very iconic, and people love this stuff. You know, the Red Dragon Archer, the Jack Atlas supporters out there see this. As soon as a competitive deck comes out for something like this, and there's no reprint on the horizon, yeah, of course it's going to hit the $55 mark. Now, as opposed to the other copies of this, except for Phantasme. Phantasme is strictly being driven right now by being a staple in the current format. Every deck besides Sky Strikers should be playing 3 copies of it. card prices are being drove up because of this. Now, this is a one of, much like Borel Dragon, but because the rest of the deck is so cheap, you will start to see 1 to 2 pieces of said puzzle being forced up into the current market. So I don't see anything wrong with his price being the way it is, but he's definitely the 5th most expensive card in the current metagame. I mean, stuff like Engages have dropped. Things like Ghost Spells have also dropped. But it definitely goes to show that, A, this is the most expensive format we've seen since Teledad's pushing it. But Teledad did have $1,000 main decks. So I do want to say I'm sorry on behalf of the community for budget players right now. This is not a good place for you to be. I mean, there are alternatives, but that extra layer of card decks really does make or break it. So guys, do you agree that this is the most expensive format we've ever had? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. And, well guys, I'm out. Peace.
The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a Truffle Shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.